Hello again and welcome to the program. I am Suren. I have some very interesting questions. Recently, I was having a number of discussions with friends over cups of hot coffee. And some of these questions were just generally formulated and generally asked. And here they are. Do you really know who you truly are and where you are at in life? Some may even laugh at such questions. But really, let us be very frank about this question and try to answer it as realistically as possible. Have you really and truly discovered the real you in the real world? There are people who would literally say, is there any need for that? And I will answer this with a simple, very simple yes. And it is an important one. The philosophers of old strongly emphasized when they said, know thyself. To obtain self-fulfillment, we must first understand who we are, how we act and do things, and what truly we want out of our lives. Many of our current psychologists are aware of the possible obstacles of acquiring self-knowledge and wisdom. They have been trying to create tools to make it easier. They have devised a wide range of techniques with which to measure the different aspects of personality. These include practice and self-exercises such as visualization. For instance, consider splattered paint on a canvas or random ink spots on cards, as well as analysis of color choices, handwriting, and even body shape. Let us look at a selection of tests, if you like. Taking as a whole, these will provide us with valuable insights into the aspects of personality and personality trends. We may now consider a series of detailed questions to start with, which can help us discover to what degree one is either introverted or extroverted, whether one tended to be stable or overly emotional, or whether our whole approach to life is either extremely tough or extremely tender. Then we will be able to pinpoint both positive aspects of our personalities and the destructive tendencies that may prevent us from achieving real happiness. There are more ways and attempts to probe our hidden side, utilizing techniques which bypass natural defenses against revealing our deeper emotions. As an example, we can look at how we cope with anger and frustration, and at the variety of roles and games we play in our interactions with other people. Here are some examples of spatially formulated questions. Do you tend to take a dominant or submissive role in your intimate relationships? Do you adopt the role of a parent or a child in dealing with your partner? Can you easily communicate your feelings in an appropriate manner? What is it you are really looking for in a lover? And what kind of lover are you? You may discover certain characteristics that you may want to change. Take note, however, that your personality is not immutable. You can modify it in major or minor ways if you have a mind to do so. Keep in mind, however, that increasing self-knowledge is the first step towards positive and lasting alteration. To comprehend yourself as you really are, you must piece together not only the obvious aspects of your personality, but also those that have been hidden from view. To start, let us analyze our personality trends. What kind of a person are you? Are you well-balanced, bright, and stable, brimming with self-confidence and happiness? Are you timid or shy, fearful of your own shadow, depressed, anxious, and stressed most of the time? Or do you fall somewhere between these two extremes? Here is an exercise in which you could try describing yourselves. Start by making a list of as many of your traits or personal characteristics as you can. Although quite a simple task, this will help you look at yourself as if in a mirror and begin to think about your own reactions and behaviors. Since this goal is exceptionally good to describe our true selves, it is best to carry out this task on our own. If we consult with friends or family, it is inevitable that they will influence our analysis of ourselves and collate with aspects of their own personalities. People attempt to describe themselves, usually overlook the entire areas of their personalities, and concentrate on only the few specific aspects. A person, for instance, might describe his negotiating abilities in detail, but neglect to mention his interests in planning his backyard or his pleasure in playing a tune on his keyboard. However, it is important to acknowledge that we display varied aspects of our characters to different people. And the people have their own and different masks that they wear according to circumstances. Psychologists call these social issues personal, after the masks worn by actors to suggest their characters as in ancient Greek dramas. Remember, We all have many faces and facets. To discover our own personality, we must try observing ourselves over 1 or 2 days at least, and notice how we present ourselves to our friends and colleagues at work, even our partners, members of our family, and others, such as salespeople in stores. One might be surprised to discover the different roles we all play. Contemplation of this remarkable adaptability of the personality has led the psychologists who subscribe to the behaviorist school of thinking to deny that such a thing as a fixed personality exists at all. Another way of exploring one's personality is to look at how we respond to events and problems we encounter. People behave very differently according to their personality traits. Say, for instance, the window frames and the roof of your house has been deteriorating over the last year or so and will need to be repaired soon to keep it from disintegrating or leaking. But you simply cannot afford the expense at the moment. Do you immediately start to deal with the problem? Perhaps by making an appointment with your bank manager to discuss a suitable loan? Or do you put off dealing with the problem, hoping that the damage really isn't that bad and that you will soon save enough money to pay for the repairs? Do you panic and tell everyone you can think of everything about your problems, hoping that someone will offer to help you out? Or do you discuss it rationally with a close friend in an effort to find a workable or practical solution? Question mark. Think about how you would approach this problem and others, such as a conflict between you and your partner, or a task you face at work. You may notice a rapid or quickness to anger, a propensity to prevaricate, tendency to run away from difficulties, or some other characteristic that you could try to improve upon to help you deal more effectively with problems of daily life and people. The questioning exercises have been asked to perform as their basis the assumptions that personality is best described in terms of traits or characteristics. In a very surprising way, modern traits theories of personality correspond to some of the oldest writings on the subject. 2,000 years ago, the Greek physician Hippocrates, the father of medicine, divided it into 4 types. Sanguine, meaning optimistic and cheerful. Phlegmatic, slow and dependable. Melancholic, depressive. And choleric, irascible and impulsive. Varieties of these personality types are still to be found in the theories of modern psychologists. Trait analysts, however, vary in what they call a trait, or how they group them they identify. For example, American psychologist Gordon Elport and his friend Henry Odbert described no fewer than 18,000 traits, including their inventory of not only behavioral characteristics, such as shyness or forcefulness, but also moral and physical traits, such as honesty and blondness. British psychologist H Eysenck, on the other hand, recognized a much shorter list of traits, and he also measured people on an intensity basis. That is, he was interested not only in the traits possessed, but also in the extent to which they possess them. Eysenck then carried out a statistical analysis to certain traits, as we read, tended to be associated with one another. He found that the traits could be arranged along the independence scales, one ranging from extroversion to introversion, the other ranging from emotionality to stability. Eysenck later supplemented these two fundamental scales with a third, tough tender. That's what he called, that highlighted yet another important group of traits. Now, traits are the elements of one's personality, which may be inferred from one's behavior. They provide a way to measure how one has responded to the influences of one's environment. Many are influenced by their parents during their childhood days, and they carry that effect with them for the rest of their lives. According to researchers, parents can be also grouped to categories: giving, critical, discontented, disappointed, and nurturing traits. They create a certain pattern or personality in their offspring. Now, we can talk about that internal parent covering people's lives. How do these parents influence their young ones? Let us consider a few. Giving parent. Remember, we are talking about the internal parents. Creates as a result of your actual parents suppressing their own needs, and that you always think of others, you don't or would take from them, but give very little in return. Therefore, there are a number of questions to consider. Do you still feel the same with people even when you give? Do you feel secretly resentful and exhausted after giving? Do you refuse to ask for care? Do you refuse to allow yourself to get angry with other people? Critical parent. You may have the tendencies to criticize yourself if your parents kept their emotions under control. But if your parents have little or no control over their emotions, and you grew up criticizing them for it, you may have internalized a critical parent for that reason. Do you suppress fear only to see it turn to anger and perhaps even depression? Do you keep a tight rein on your emotions? Do you set a standard of perfection for yourself? Do you seek pleasure through alcohol and other drugs, perhaps? You may have internalized a discontented parent, probably enjoying a high status and material success, but they were not happy, and their unhappiness may have caused you stress. Do you generally feel negative about life? Do you rarely feel excitement or a thrill of anticipation? Do you suffer long-term worries? Do you experience depression when faced with a decision? Disappointed internal parent may create or develop if your parents are successful, did not see you as living up to their hopes for you, because they were disappointed in you. Your will to face challenges was discouraged. Do you feel discouraged and ineffectual in the face of danger or an opportunity for advancement? Do you seem to work unconsciously to ensure that your life will be disappointment? Do you become upset when a decision seems to bode good things for the future? Do you feel attracted to addictions, drugs, as a symbol of disappointment? The nurturing parent. These types of parents arm their children against emotional pain by teaching them to share their troubles and seek help when they are burdened. Do you therefore experience your emotions honestly, without concealing your feelings from yourself? Do you communicate your emotions truthfully to others? Do you seek help from others forthright way when you need it? Do you seek rest or positive distractions when you feel they will give you a healthy respite? These are questions to consider. Are you sure that you are your own director or your own boss? That will influence you in the long run. Personality consists of nothing more than a series of preferred behaviors which we observe and categorize. For instance, a newborn infant is completely without preferred actions, beyond the automatic impulses for survival. All his or her behavior is random. However, soon the baby learns that some behavior is accompanied by pleasure or satisfaction. The behavior is positively reinforced, and some is attended by frustration or even pain. Positively reinforced behaviors are repeated, while unpleasurable ones are not. One can therefore conclude that all your actions have been conditioned by the physical and the social environment. Behaviorists cannot address the issue of hereditary influence and behavior without diluting its supposedly exclusive influence of the environment. Whereas the preferred behaviors, deriving from experience of the outside world, the psychoanalytic school holds that traits originate in the makeup of the mind and in the very recesses of memory and emotion. The originator of this view was Sigmund Freud, who claimed that your adult personality and your adult behavior is influenced by unconscious memories of how you interpreted life as a child. And so, they agree that you are the end result of what you learn and that you are shaped by an environment over which you have very little control. Is it possible, then, that you are controlled by your genetic programming? A trait analyst, Gordon Allport, was a biological psychologist. According to this thinker, personality traits are embedded in a person's nervous system. That personality is an innate part of you and determines how you behave and think. And that personality is largely inherited. Could the genes influence personality? Has emerged from comparisons of identical twins. The identical twins share the same genes, whereas fraternal twins do not. Selecting twins of both kinds raised together, the researchers tested each pair and the number of traits discovered that the scores of identical twins showed more similarity than those of fraternal twins. Measuring their sociability on a scale ranging from 0 to 1, or from no similarity to exact correspondence, the identical twins scored 0.54, while the fraternal twins scored 0.21. It would seem that genetics plays a generally very significant role in determining personality. We discover an unexpected result was the scores of fraternal twins read separately showed no less similarity than those of fraternal twins read together. Further evidence that genetics plays a prominent role in the development of the personality. Personality was generally shaped by your genes and your environment. However, you need not be a prisoner of your past, as it is seen within your current behavior. Well, no one can adopt a completely new personality because it seems more attractive, that there is nothing to prevent you from enhancing those traits you possess, that you would like to be more influential. However, overriding those traits that seem to be responsible for failures and disappointments in your life, let us not forget that you do have many different masks. Oh yeah. It could lead to suicide, an aspect of your personality that is overworked, and now you may need to select another from your extensive range that offers you more freedom. Self-awareness is the key to improving your life. That goes for all of us. People generally are fascinated to learn about their personalities. However, they tend to fear an objective appraisal of the characteristics. They seek reassurance rather than true self-revolution. How can one gain an objective picture of one's qualities? Psychologists believe that personality question, in which you are asked to provide answers to multitudes of queries about yourself, which are subsequently scored and interpreted, offer an excellent way to learn facts about yourself. Maybe we should conduct the number of tests and answer questions honestly, and the results may provide you, us, with constructive guidance toward a more successful future. Traits describe the ways of behaving that almost always come to the fore in an individual's life, finding expression in a wide variety of situations. People who have the trait of friendliness, for example, tend to be friendly to others. Friends, strangers, adults, children, and even animals. And liveliness in a person is likely to assert itself, not only in the indulgent company of friends and family, but also in uncomfortable circumstances that might reduce people without this trait to silence. Psychologists group traits in significant patterns. It has been seen statistically that particular traits tend to be associated with other traits within a single personality, creating a cluster of traits termed a type. Friendliness, liveliness, sociability, optimism, and impulsiveness may all be considered characteristic of the extrovert type. Knowing your personality type, as usual, after taking the tests we have mentioned of earlier, can help you predict your behavior in most circumstances, but it can also be used as a basis for a wider reflection on your behavior, a chance to contemplate your strong and weak points, or to consider strategies for exploiting those strengths and compensating for those weaknesses. And so we come to the end of today's episode. We shall meet again by the next time. Until then, as always, I say, keep smiling and be happy. Thank you.